Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, and I hope you can hear me clearly. I got you out here in the wind, it's blowing, but I like the scenery, and maybe it can be a calming feature for us all. I want to talk to you about your freedom. I want to talk to you about freedom. You know, the reason that crosses my mind is because I recognize that change is something we seem to be afraid of. And it suggests that perhaps we conform to a program, and that program we find comfort in it. And to step outside of it, especially when it has been given in that program, that stepping outside of it is something that is very undesirable because of consequences. And so we got all of that to control us and to manipulate whether we are susceptible to change or whether we resist it. And it appears to me that we resist change. And the only thing that makes sense to me why we would resist it is because we've been trained to do so. Otherwise, if we were just free thinkers, then the thought would perhaps persuade us to go deeper into it, perhaps be able to conclude that being free is not such a bad thing after all. However, this is what God is all about. God is all about freedom. Freedom from everything that binds you to that which denies you that which is of you, for you, from the mighty Creator, for your peace and your prosperity and your joy of life. Your dreams coming true. All of that is designed by the master of life, God. Now, God you can't see, you can't touch, you can't feel. So we conclude that God is a spirit. And it's so different than we as men. We can see us, we can feel us, and we can touch us, and we can understand us. And for some strange reason, we have given authority of our lives, of our freedom, to something that we can touch, something that we can feel. And knowing how that really is, because as it is represented, so are we. For we are in it, and it is in us. We are it. And for some strange reason, being a creature with choice and wanting the best of all, and being taught by a selfish motive, would drive all of us to be bigoted, to be prejudiced in our thoughts and in our outcomes and our goings, would cause us even to be prejudiced and hateful and so resentful. All of these things come because of the ability to want to be free, totally free, want to be on top based upon our education. And the result is what we have today. This is why I find it absolutely necessary, ladies and gentlemen, that I take the time to talk to you in such a way that perhaps you have not been spoken to. You know, the truth reveals and exposes the lies. Taught and learned. Taught and learned. When we speak of freedom, another way you might be able to understand it a little more decent is being raised at home by your parents, growing up, being controlled and manipulated all your life, come, go, sit, rise, be quiet, talk, all of these things, eat, don't eat, take a bath, go to bed, all of these, go to school, get up. They're just constant for years and years and years of your life. And some of you have learned them well. But in many instances, you find yourself wanting to grow up out of this so you don't have to go through that. And in your imagination, it has been instructed to accept the fact that when you get 18, you can be free from this. 18, you go to the military, pick up a gun, be taught to kill or die by instruction. 18, Liberation Day. You don't have to do and that when you don't want to. And then finally, Liberation Day comes. By George, you are 18 years old. You want to throw your hands up in the air and shout hallelujah. But then you find out after the party, after the celebration, and you still at home, you are still restricted. They still got you. They won't turn you loose. And many of you know that the only way you get loose is if you shake loose. You just have to take loose. And when you take loose, then you're really loose. And when you have become loose, you find out that you don't know everything. You find out you still have to go through your experience to really understand some of the things that you were taught or were not taught. You still got changes to go through. You're still growing, but you're at a point now where you can trust yourself to make the decisions that will lead you to the next learning point. Not that you're going to know everything. And so when it comes down to we as people who live in a society, who've been trained to accept whatever society we live in as being the society, the one, the best, and all the rest. And so when you walk into an understanding of however you confront the revelation of truth, it begins to set you free by exposing and identifying the lies. And as you become free, you begin to see this stuff all around you. And then you recognize that you are in the house like with the parent, still controlling and manipulating you. But you've come to an awareness that indicates that you have matured and that now you are ready to make the decisions of your own rather than being controlled and manipulated. And so what happens? You find that the system, just like the parents, don't want to let go. And see, that's when you end up having to break free. Break free. And that gives you freedom indeed. But what freedom can you go to? What can you call freedom? The evidence is through history that if you're going to find freedom, it's going to be something outside of the box. It's going to be something outside of the norm. It's going to be outside of John, Joe, and Sally and Sue. It's going to be outside of humanity. It's going to be something from, for lack of a better expression, it's going to be something from God. God is going to reveal something to you that's going to set you on ease. That's going to let you know, whoa, you know, man isn't all of it. The big bomb is not all of it. There's something bigger than all of that, better than all of that, and I trust that. And because I trust that, I can see clear. I can see a path through the problems of the day. I can see a path through the struggles of the day. I can see what causes lying and cheating and stealing and killing and terrorism and war and bigotry and hatred. I can see these kinds of things, and by being able to see it clearly, I also see how to avoid it. I see what prevents it. I understand that justice is key. I understand that love is the source of all stuff. And these two together with a committed heart to do that which is proper gets you down the finish line. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you this. God is the answer. We have recognized here in the United States of America, I have to say this ever so often, that the best that America has to give is Donald Trump. That's the best that America has to offer. And the leaders are people who are so much like Donald Trump and so caught up to what he's about that they take every step in his direction, and regardless of what they say, regardless how they talk against what he says or do, they make each step in the direction that he's going. And so we find ourselves with the question that has to be on your mind is, do you want to be like that? Do you want to stay like that? And if you don't, what you do? Well, if you're not hooked up to God, you don't know what to do. You start doing your thing, and your thing is just as destructive as somebody else's thing. But you do God's thing works for everybody. What is it? Those things that are essential for life: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, careers of your own choosing, are the things that are designed, the process whereby it is designed so that the things that you seek after in life are being created, been parceled out to each of you to contribute in the process of creating it. Each of you got a little bit to do. You might not even know how what you do is associated with the big grand scheme of things. But I'm telling you, without your little bit, everything would be messed up. The pictures would all be messed up. The puzzle would still be a puzzle. But because you have the responsibility and commitment to stick your hand out there, now all that is required exists. And so there are no human beings on the face of the earth that's denied any of the essentials for survival. Not a single one. And when you work that close, you find out that it's so much simpler to do all of the other things in the world that you would like to do, how to accomplish all the other things in the world that you'd like to accomplish. And it's as easy as smiling. As easy as smiling, because it is the designer's way. It's not man's way. It's God's way. And this is why I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to shake yourself loose from the way this system is, especially when all it has to offer is what we got. We got to turn it loose, and by your power and your power alone will we be able to move beyond these limitations into the field of the sky and beyond is the limit. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. It's been a grand day, and thank you.